notes over here, and I'm short, so you can't see me. And obviously, you guys don't need me to use the mic tonight. But I am Miss Carter. Thank you, Eric, for introducing me. A little bit about myself. I studied at the University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez. Any Puerto Ricans?
Woo.
Yes. From Mayagüez?
No.
No? Yeah, you're from Mayagüez?
No, my stepfather is, but I remember Mayagüez, el pueblo de los mango.
Yes. Recinto Universitario de Mayagüez, also known as RUM. There's a rum factory right across the street. Did you know that?
I did.
So anyway, I went to school there. I actually majored in softball. I did not care about my major at all. And I also played soccer for the Puerto Rico women's team over there. And one of the things that when I was in school, my goal in school was to actually become an Olympian and represent Puerto Rico for softball. But that was the year that they removed softball from the Olympics, and then they left ping pong in, right? Because ping pong's, I guess it kind of is a real sport, but to me, it's really not. So they took it out. They're bringing it back in 2020, not that anybody cares, but I do care greatly about that. But isn't it fitting that the Red Sox are in the playoffs, and I'm doing a talk on developing a competitive advantage? And so not to veer off too far from the subject, after school, when I graduated or when I got out of school, I hooked up with a guy who lived in Maryland at the time, and he taught entrepreneurs, and he recruited me, and he had me come in and teach and train entrepreneurs all over the U.S. And so one of the things that drew me to that was that I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life after softball was off the table. And so during that time, I thought that training entrepreneurs was actually going to be my career in my life. And I realized quickly that that's it. I loved impacting people. I loved helping them develop personally and go from employee mindset and teach them business mindset, because those are two completely different things. And I enjoyed doing those things. And so throughout that time, I actually met my husband. I did that for about 10 years. I stepped down from the leadership when I chose to raise my daughter full time, because I didn't want anybody else raising her. And ultimately, during that time, we started a real estate investing company, and I started my own coaching company. So now I coach women and also companies on entrepreneurship and also personal development, which is very close to my heart. And so now my goal, my purpose, is to equip and revitalize women and companies all over the country. And so in the process, I wrote 2 books. As Eric mentioned, the second one is coming out on the 15th. My first one was on pregnancy. My second one is on marriage, and they all have a rookie title, an ode to the softball. So a rookie mommy and rookie wifey. I'm trying to bring the baseball back to life, but I don't know if I can really make it back to where I was in college. But what I learned in college, and this is actually still relevant today, is if you go to the SSA.gov, the Social Security Administration, there's a stat on there that says if you take 100 people at the start of their working careers and follow them for the next 40 years until they reach retirement age, 1 will be wealthy, 4 will be financially secure, 5 will continue to work, 36 will be dead, and 54 will be broke and dependent on family, friends, and the government to take care of them. So when you break that down into stats, it's only a 5% that actually makes it out of 100. And so one of the things that drew me to that was I wanted to know what the 5% was doing, because I wasn't really looking to be rich, but I wanted to be financially stable. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So as I was going over that and researching that, I found that they all had a competitive advantage over within those 100 people. And they are split into 2 sections. One of them I'm going to split into personal development and the things that they did personally in order to grow, and then also business practices, which I'm going to go over as well. You guys with me? Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay, let's be louder than the J-Lo over there that they're playing. We'll go over there later. So the first thing that they did with personal development is that they developed a habit for discipline when it came to personal practice. So for me personally, the things that you do, I understand that I believe in God, right? In Jesus. I know that. I mean, we're at Holy Cross, so I'm going to talk about God, right? I can do that. But one of the things that I found that was important to me was my faith. So some of the things that I started doing every single day was spending time in prayer or reading the Bible and building my faith. Because you're three-part. Your body, your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions, and then you have your spirit, right? So you can't only just build your body by going to the gym and eating right. You also have to develop those other two areas, your soul and your spirit. And your soul meaning what you're learning, what you're intaking, what you're hearing, what you're reading. I don't know if I said that already, but you know, what your association. And it's really important to understand that it takes a lot of work to build those things. You can't just ignore them. So anytime somebody comes to me, I coach women as well one-on-one, mostly online that find me. And I ask them, what are your habits for personal development? And the reason why I'm doing this is because it's going to lay the groundwork for your professional life. Do you guys know who Lauryn Hill is? You know that song, Do Up That Thing, That Thing, That Thing? Yeah?
Yes.
I should be on The Voice, right? She has a line in there that says, you can't win if you're not right within. And my business motto is, business grows when you do. So anytime that you make a certain amount of money, or let's say you launch an app, or your professional career is taking off, your income will never exceed your self-image. So your income is never going to outgrow, or your success is never going to outgrow the peak of your personal development. Does that make sense? It's always going to go back. It can explode, but at some point it's going to come back to whatever your self-image is at. And so during this time, I realized that my personal development needed to be prayer, in the Bible, being still and listening, taking the time to listen to ideas that may come at me, because I want divine direction at the end of the day, right? I feel like I'm preaching. I'm a preacher.
Amen.
Because your lives have purpose. So my life has a purpose, and I want to know what that is directly from the big man himself. So I take a moment, I'm still. Sometimes I write in a gratitude journal, and I used to have a lot of depression and anxiety when I was a teenager and in my 20s. And writing in a gratitude journal actually eliminated all of that. Now, if you have those things, I'm not saying to get off of your medication or anything like that, but it just goes to show that when you intentionally put time into showing gratitude into something, those things can be eliminated from your life. A combination of other things could be reading a personal development book, strengthening your strengths, also listening to motivational audios that are going to also strengthen your strengths, and exercising, which is good too. So everybody has different seasons in their life. You could be in college. Are you guys in school? Where do you go to school?
I go to Assumption College.
Assumption? Oh, you have a Red Sox thing on. Oh, so we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You go to Assumption. So you're in school now, boyfriend, you have a boyfriend, some of us are married, some of us married have kids, or some of us are divorced. It just, everybody has different seasons in your life. So your personal development growth is going to be different every season. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say and ah and ooh a lot because I'm not a professional speaker. Also, this is a good time for you to schedule out your week or write out to-do lists, and it really does focus, puts a lot of emphasis on what needs to be done during the day. And I always tell people, make sure you do this in the morning. And 9 times out of 10, I see her face. I'm not a morning person. Is that you?
No, I am a morning person.
Oh, you are?
That's what I
Okay.
do.
9 times out of 10, I get, I'm not a morning person. I can't wake up in the morning. This is exactly what I say to them. The reason why you're not a morning person is because you let your feelings tell you what to do. Our feelings, the moment that we allow them to rule our lives, that is when it trickles into every other area of our life. So when we don't feel like getting up and going to the gym, we're going to be overweight. If we don't feel like eating right, I know we just talked about this with some people, but you can't, I'm not pointing anybody out, but the moment that we say, you know what, I don't feel like doing this, you're letting your feelings dominate your life. And that just leads, to me, it leads to death, right? Has anybody ever ran a 5K, half marathon? I think you just said that you did. When I had my daughter, the first thing I did was sign up for a half marathon because I hate running half marathons. I wanted to stretch myself in some way, and I knew I needed to train. And the entire time I was training, I was like, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. Just quit. You're in pain. You're hungry. You're thirsty, right? Your body tells you that. And what do you tell your body?
Keep going.
Keep going. I tell you what to do, not the other way around. And so that mentality has to be throughout all of our lives. The moment that we say, you know what, I'm not this person, change your wording around and say, you know what, I'm going to do that tomorrow morning, and you can't tell me what to do feelings. Does that make sense? Yeah. And this time that you have for personal development, whether you choose all of these things to do or pick and choose some of the other things, but you have to be really jealous of it because it's your time and it's your life, right? Right?
Yeah.
Do you guys need coffee?
No.
Or liquor?
Yeah. We were up late from watching the game last night.
Oh, right. You know what? I'm always up late watching the game, and then I said, you know what? I have to get up early and do my stuff in the morning, and guess what? I missed the best part of the game. I had to watch it on the highlights, which is the worst, but it was good. The second thing is that these people are focused. They do not let anything distract them. And I'm going to try and say this lightly, but sometimes you really have to, when you're focused, really do have to take the negative out of your life. So the things that are going into your mind, that could be social media. For us women, I think social media is a big one, where you're constantly comparing yourself to other people. Because social media, the grass is always greener on there, right? Also, negative friends, or maybe friends that have a lot of drama going on, or a lot of issues that maybe are just kind of like, does anybody ever have friends like that you feel like heavier when you leave them than when you meet up with them?
I send them the voicemail sometimes.
Sometimes you really have to do that because you need to keep your own sanity, right? It's like you love them from far away. I love you from over there. And TV is a big one, the news. And I know with the political climate that we're in, there's a lot of stuff on there, but I was fortunate enough to have people in my life for 10 years teach me, hey, if it's not on the front of a newspaper, it's not important. And so for a good amount of time, I did not watch the news because it was pouring negative into my life, especially before you go to bed. So unless you're in the political field and that's something that you're doing, kind of shy away from that and just be intentional about what's going in your ear gate, your eye gate, and that way it doesn't come out of your mouth. Because those things, the moments they go into you, they're going to come right out of your mouth. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like-minded people. Making it a point to associate with people that are, I like to say, my level or above, because they have a wisdom that I need. I don't know everything. Don't tell my husband I said that. But I don't know everything. I don't know everything. So for me, it's important to get around other people in places like these where I'm intentional about networking and knowing what other people know, because they have bigger businesses. They have more experience than me. They're going to know what I don't know. So it's important for me to surround myself with like-minded people or people that are a lot further than I am. Now, getting into the business practices of this part, just gonna go turn this over. When it comes to your professional life, or what you're doing on a daily basis, or if you own some kind of a business, the number one thing that I say that is the most important for people to understand that is severely lacking right now is people skills. And I think the reason why it's lacking right now is because people are always like this, and they're always on their phone. They don't look up, they don't acknowledge people, they don't know how to look people in the eye. They give you a dead fish. You guys know what a dead fish is? And you're holding their hand and it's like sweaty and like lumpy, and you're like, dude, shake my hand, and sometimes I don't want to come off as that overpowering woman, so I'm trying to be like, come on, get it together. But it's important for people to understand that we're not interdependent. We're not independent people, even though some of us want to be independent, but our purpose, our design on earth is to be interdependent. We need other people in order to fulfill whatever it is that we're trying to fulfill. Does that make sense? So it's important that we obtain people skills. There's so many good people skill books out there. There is How to Win Friends and Influence People, Art of Dealing with People, Skill with People, and there's a whole curriculum that I usually put together for people so that they can start their personal development. But it's so important to understand how people work, what makes them tick, how they're wired. Because if you don't know how to work with people and you're not confident in that, you're not really going to get very far. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes.
You guys following me?
Yes.
The second thing is become a problem solver. So as we are operating our daily lives, the number one thing that irks me the most is when somebody says, I don't know, that's not my job. Anybody? Yeah? When someone goes, I don't know, that's not my job, I'm gonna put you on hold to send you to so and so. That is the worst. I can tell you, I called a school. I'm not gonna say which school it was. Supposedly it's a really good school, but I called them because my stepdaughter goes to that school, and I asked them, hey, what time is your late bus? Because you guys seem like you're confused. I don't know, I'm new here. Well, why don't you put me on hold and figure it out? Because it's not, and sometimes I come off like a little, I have to use people skills, but sometimes I just don't want to, because I'm like, come on, really? And I got on the phone with the principal and I said, you need new staff there, because people aren't figuring it out. And how am I supposed to entrust my child in your hands when you have incompetent people on your staff? They can't even say, excuse me, can you hold please? I'll find out for you, no problem. So going the extra mile really does, right? Is that you? Did that happen to you?
Well, no.
You're not that person,
I'm
right?
not that person.
Okay.
But that's why I'm like, I would be so mad.
If someone did,
If someone
especially
did
at
that,
school.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's really important to understand that the golden rule, treat how you would want to be treated. Somebody asks you a question and it's not in your arena, figure it out. Find out how can I add value to this situation instead of just passing the buck off to somebody else. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I feel like I say that a lot. Maybe I should just stop. Does that make sense? Never bash competitors or people. This is huge. So when you're around other, let's say you're starting a business. Does anybody actually own a business in here? Okay, oh yeah, Wendy. Wendy's my girl. If I'm having a conversation with Wendy and I just had another, she's a phenomenal interior decorator, by the way. So if you guys need any help, that's her, that's your girl. But if I tell her, hey Wendy, another interior decorator reached out to me, and she, her prices are a lot lower than yours. Do you know who that is? And Wendy goes, girl, you don't even go there. You don't want to talk to that girl. I've heard this, and this about her. Her work sucks. I'm gonna be like, oh, okay. And you know what I'm thinking? I wonder what Wendy is saying when I leave the room. So anytime that there's negativity or you're bashing a competitor, or one thing that she could say is, you know what, I really don't know anything about their work. I'm pretty sure they're really good. Why don't you go check them out? That leaves good seeds, that plants good seeds within her business. Does that make sense? Negative talk about other people. Listen, we're Hispanic. El bonchinche, we're like, girl, mira lo que me pasó, like all you want to do is talk about other people all the time, because, what else is there to do? It's exciting, talking about other people, thinking that we're like up here, but really we have our own issues. Shakira said, when Shakira was like, I don't want to badmouth her, but when she was like in her old rocker days, like that's how I liked her, 1998. You guys know who Shakira is, right?
Yes.
Where she says, I forgot what she said. Es mejor empezar por uno mismo, when you're talking about two people, right?
Yeah.
Somebody hum it? No. But, if you're going to be talking about two people, you start with yourself first. Don't bash the competition or anybody else, because people are always looking at that, especially on social media. Anytime that, I can't say this enough, anytime that you want to bash anything or anybody, including political figures, it gives me a flag in my head saying, I wonder what this person is saying about so-and-so. And not everybody has the same opinions about what's going on politically. You never know what people really believe about what's happening. So anytime that I had somebody that I was I was being trained by her, and she started bashing somebody, like, but really bad stuff, and insulting them as if she knew them. And I said to her, you know, you never know what people really believe, because I could be for that person, and you just turned me off. And you could probably be eliminating a lot of business right now that you could have. So if you're not in the political realm, try and stay away from that if you're trying to build a business, because you could be hurting your business. Your business will remain small because you constantly want to have an opinion about what's really going on. Does that make sense?
So we can't say the president's a moron?
That's your opinion, but if you're using it for your personal stuff, that's fine. But if you own a business, I mean, most people believe that. So, integrity. Integrity is doing what you say you're going to do. Being in real estate, I'm technically an agent, but just for my family. So when people ask me, hey, can you help me? I'm like, no, I really don't like people that much to be that's where I should probably use people's skills. But I need to learn how to love people a little bit more, but I just really want to be an agent for my family. And being in real estate, I learned that there's a lot of incompetent and not integral people. And I hate to say it, but it's the truth. And that's one of the reasons why I like going in and training real estate companies, just so that they can get the process going of at least some personal development and some business practices. Because when people say, hey, I'm gonna be at the house at 5 and they don't show up until 5:15, I'm like, that's not only a reflection on your business, but it's a reflection on you. You have to do what you say you're going to do, because that you will lose so much credibility when that happens. And I get it, we're Hispanic, sometimes we're late, sometimes we just don't feel like going. But what happens is there's an epidemic of people not knowing how to say no. People will yup you to death. Oh, you're gonna go over here? Yep, I'll be there. Oh, you're gonna go over here? Yep, I'll be there. And then they don't show. They don't know how to say no. And no is a complete sentence. Does that make sense? So learning how to say no, and honestly, it's probably the most spineless thing that I've ever encountered when somebody says yes and they really mean no. Like, really? You didn't have the cojones to say to say no? Like, you couldn't say no? It's okay. So another thing that also more towards personal development is when you're in the process of personally developing yourself and maybe working through some issues, because ultimately, like, there's some parts of us that are broken, right? So it's important to find healing in those areas, and one of the things that has helped me the most is having a coach. And I'm not saying that because I'm a coach, but I have one too. And I've always had a coach or a mentor in my life. Sometimes I paid for one, sometimes I didn't. And so having a coach that can guide you in the right areas, whether it's someone from church that has been through what you've been through, or somebody in the business realm that's a little bit farther than you, will really help you navigate the minefield. You know, if you have a minefield in front of you, you're gonna wanna walk where you see footsteps and not where you see blown up pieces of people, right? You wanna walk to where that other guy is going. You wanna walk in his footsteps. So it'll cut your time in half if you find a coach or a mentor that will help you get to where you wanna be. So the two greatest assets that we have here when it comes to having a competitive advantage is understanding personal development and understanding how that affects your attitude. Because the two things you can control in life are your actions and your attitude. That's it. You can't control what the president is doing. You can't control what your husband's doing, unfortunately. You can't control what anybody else is doing. But you can control those two things. And when you can, and you understand the value of other people, and understand that they're an asset and that they can't, even though I don't like a lot of people that much, I have to understand that they bring a value to this world, and they may be strong where I'm weak. Does that make sense? I don't have to sharpen my weaknesses. I could just go find somebody else that's strong in that area, and I can just strengthen my strengths. So get a personal development plan. Also, if you're own a business or if you're a professional, apply these practices, and they'll really give you an edge on the competition that's out there. Because really, when you learn these things, the competition just kind of fades away. You know what I mean? They're their own detriment at the end of the day. So again, I'm a coach. I've written books. So if you guys have any questions about some of the books that I've written, my marriage book comes out on November 15th. Follow me on social media to stay encouraged. And also I have an event coming up on October 27th that's a ladies event that's going to be in Worcester. If you'd like to come to that, just see me and I'll give you the information. So that's it, I'm done. Oh, do you guys have any questions?
What motivates you?
What motivates me?
Yeah.
Helping people grow. Like when you see a mental click in somebody, after you've coached them for a little bit, that's what, I mean, there could be a room full of 100 people, and if one person is like, wow, like that really helped me, now I can kind of reconfigure what I'm doing, that is huge motivation. Yeah, for real.
What type of coaching do you do one-on-one?
So for women, I do personal development coaching, faith-based coaching, and then I also do entrepreneur coaching.
Do you do any coaching for men?
No. I used to when my husband was involved in the coaching, but I do not want to be involved with anything with men. What am I going to coach a man? I'm not a man. He's not going to respect me the way that he would respect another man. I mean, that's just the way the world is. I've coached guys before, but I don't want to do it if my husband's not there.
And she's phenomenal, not because she's my friend, but she coached me and helped me grow my business and help me understand things and pursue things in a different way. So she's definitely amazing to work with. So she's helped a lot of people that I know, personally and business-wise. So
What comes to mind for you for whether it's your own experiences or perhaps a story with some folks that you're able to engage with about a turnaround story?
One in particular, a lot of these people have become my friends, so it's,
No names.
no, I know, but I have them on my testimonial page, but just seeing somebody come from, like, for example, when I was younger, and this is to be completely transparent, I was physically abused, like, and I'm not talking about chancleta and like cojea, I'm talking about like head through a wall, like bad, and my dad, if you see my parents now, they are the complete example of healing. Don't record this, anybody. But they're completely restored my family. You would never know that anything was wrong with my family. And so when I was younger, we went through a lot of physical abuse, and my dad was a state trooper. So I couldn't call the cops. I was also sexually abused when I was younger as well. And so those testimonies, as I had healing in them, has helped women, or one in particular, this girl, she had gone through those things, but she hadn't had any healing in those areas. And so I came in and I showed her, this is, most of the people are broken and they have voids that they're trying to fill with alcohol, drugs, promiscuity, all kinds of stuff. And so they're trying to fill these voids of brokenness when God is the one that heals those things permanently. And so I come in and I teach her, I came in and I taught her, this is God, this is what God did in my life. And then she was also a prospective entrepreneur. She was just trying to build a business at that point. So she was a physical therapist. And she has trouble balancing having her business, because it was in the initial phases, and then also her family. So she had those two different components. She had the personal stuff that was really hindering her growth, and then she also had the business aspect. So now she's able to balance her business. She's had her business, I started with her when she had it for a year. She's on her 3rd year. She's grown, she's doubled in size in her practice. And then also she's had complete restoration when it comes to her personal life, yeah. I mean, that's nothing with me. I mean, I give God the glory for that. But that's why we go through stuff.
Sarah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So for someone who maybe has never had a mentor, don't know how to seek a mentor, and want that or need that or would like the opportunity to have a mentor, how would you encourage that person to go about seeking somebody? And what's the value of that mentor as well?
Well, the value of the mentor is, I mean, even if you have to pay for one, totally worth the investment, because you're investing in yourself. But I had mentors that I didn't have to pay for a really long time. They were willing to teach me and train me for free. And then when I stepped down from that leadership and I had to figure things out on my own, I really looked online. I researched a lot of women that had the same. We had a connection, but they were further along than I was. So the girl that mentors me now, she actually lives in Atlanta, and she does a lot of group coaching and also one-on-one coaching. But what's valuable about that is that they actually have communities. So I never did online coaching before when I was really traveling and doing a lot of one-on-one stuff, and I value that and I love that. But then I realized the power of a community online, like. You have other women that are being coached by her as well that can also give valuable input to whatever it is that you're looking for. So do some research. I mean, you can meet a lot of people. You can straight up ask somebody, hey, like, I see you are where you are. You know, I'm trying to get there. Would you mind maybe mentoring me once a month or once a week or whatever your goals are? There's nothing, the worst people can say is no. So when you're looking for a mentor and you say, hey, you know, I don't have a lot right now, but I'm looking to be mentored. I mean, a girl came to me from New York. I kind of knew her. Actually didn't like her at all when I was growing up. I hated her. And then she came to me and said, hey, I really need help in this area of my life. Will you help me? And so if you reach out to them, the worst that they can say is no. But it's so worth actually going out there and finding somebody that you can say, hey, listen, I'm confused about this area of my life. What do I do? They can give you so much clarity on the direction of your life. Just make sure that their backgrounds are, everybody has messes in their life, but you just want to make sure that there's nothing sketchy going on there, that they have good testimonials, they have good reviews and stuff like that as you go in. But I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah. So in your workplace, you can ask somebody that's a boss to mentor you, or you can find somebody online to mentor you or coach you.
It's very common in the workplace. It's not, so if you don't think that a lot of people have done that before, or if you don't think your manager is exposed to that easy, or your director, whoever it may be, I definitely find encouraged to do that because it's very common. It's not going to be, and it should be encouraged.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest issue with people these days is they're afraid to ask.
Yeah.
You know, with anything.
Yeah.
Me, I go on Facebook and ask for everything.
I know.
Where can I find a plumber? Where can I do this? And you know, that's
Yeah.
how you find somebody who knows somebody who can get it for you cheap.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't ask, you're not gonna get, you know, your answers. And one thing that Lizette taught me was, you know, when looking for mentors or people to look up to, always look up for somebody who is doing better than you, you know what I mean, in your business, in your field, and follow that person, and you're gonna learn from them. And I mean, I'm a big supporter of helping other women too. Like, I feel like, you know, you do better for yourself, your business, and even as a person when you work together, not try to compete against each other. It doesn't get you anywhere. So definitely that's one thing that's helped me is being able to, you know, get a mentor in my business and follow other people and look up to other people in my field, and it's helped me tremendously. So.
Right.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Anything? Oh, you have her here?
It's free. So.